Hi, let us understand about RBAC in Kubernetes, that is role-based access control. As the name suggests, we are going to provide access to the resources within Kubernetes using the roles. As the name suggests, we are going to create the roles and provide the access to the resources. Let's discuss about the three important components as a part of the RBAC. One is the subject and operations, or sometimes it will be referred as verbs as well, and then resources. Under subject, we will be having users, groups. Groups are nothing but set of users, and service accounts. Within operations, we will be having the verbs like list, get, delete, create, update, watch, patch. So all the operations that can be done against the resources within the Kubernetes, that will be listed over here. And resources are the resources of Kubernetes like pods, nodes, configs, secrets, deployments, etc. Once these three set of informations are available, I can create users or create a group and put users within that groups, or I can create a service account. There's a difference between the users and the service account. We will be seeing a demo using service account later. What I can do, I can create a role saying these are all the role names. So basically we need to create a role defining what operations in what resource can be done. And I'll be doing a role binding against the subject. By doing this, I can have a user belonging to multiple roles. So I can create say role 1, role 2, role 3. And I can have a number of users, user 1, user 2, user 3. The role will be defining what operations can be done against what resources. So this will be clearly defined within the role. And I can create role binding to bind the user and the resources. User and the roles. So here, this particular user 1 can play a role of role 1 as well as role 2. And user 2 can play a role of R3, and user 3 can play a role of R3. Now later, if I want to give any specific role, I don't need to change the permission or create anything more defined. Assign that specific role to the user, so that role or the permissions available or the operations what can be done against the resources, that will get updated or that will be available for that specific user. And if there are any duplicates, it's going to be union of the operations and the resources within the role binding if I have multiple roles bound to a specific user. As a part of my GitHub repository, I'll be sharing the link as a part of the description as well. I have created a small demo on how to create the service account. Say here, this is where we will be creating the service account. So the kind is service account and the name of the service account and the namespace where it should get created. And I have defined a role, and here we do have the kind as a role and the name of the role and what are all the rules, that is what are the API groups against the resources and the verbs. So here the verbs get, watch and list only added against the resources pods. Now I am going to bind this specific role against that specific service account. So here I do have the subject, the kind is service account, what service account and what are under what namespace. Here what role, that is a specific role, pod reader role that will be bound with the name read pods. So once if I create this binding, the role and the service account, I can use that specific service account. Now let's try to get the pods. I'm able to get the pods from the default namespace. Now the same thing, I can specifically mention which service account to use. Let me go ahead and mention the specific service account and get the pods. There should not be any difference because we do have permission to get the pods from the default namespace. Now I'm going to get the pods from kube system namespace using this specific service account. Here it should give the error message because we do not have kube system access, that is the kube system namespace access using this specific service account. At the same time, if I run it as a default user, that is minikube, it should list the pods. Now let me try to run a pod using that specific service account. I'm going to create a pod with the image engines with the service account. It should give the error message. Or otherwise, if I use the default user, that's minikube, it should create the pod. Now I can go ahead and verify whether the service account is having the permission what we are looking for. Say for example, I can use the command auth can I list pods, that is what verb and then the resources as that specific service account. Yes, I do have. At the same time, I can check whether I do have permission for deleting the nodes. Can I delete? That is the operation, and the resources nodes as that specific service account. It doesn't have the permission because we do not have anything specific, as well as even within the default namespace we do not have the permission. So we will get the error message no, or the information no. So this is the quick summary about the RBAC within Kubernetes, where we will be handling the subjects, operations and the resources. We can create a number of roles and we can map it to the operation and the resources. We can map the roles against the user using role binding.